Today we take a look at something that I remember seeing on store shelves and thinking then, "Ooh, baby, that is one big prime." Don't think it's for me. It's certainly a weird oddity. Maybe one day I'll get a chance to handle it, and that day has finally come. Of course, I'm talking about this big bad boy. This is the Transformers Prime Beast Hunters Ultimate, apparently, Optimus Prime. And he's going to be our focus this time around in the latest GotBot True review. Hey all, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, your most humble of hosts, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, man, please like, comment, share, of course, subscribe, and while you're at it, loud of my baby, hit that notification bell, please. It helps me out a ton, and it lets you know when content of all sorts goes up here on the channel. Check out Machinery of Man, The Everything Factor, all the groups that I'm either a mod or an admin for, as well as all of my social media links. All of that in the description down below, also in the description down below. And if you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link. You can check us out on Patreon. You can see what we have to offer to you through spring. Or, of course, you can hit the join button right here on YouTube and become a channel member. And this is the Beast Hunters Ultimate Optimus Prime. Came out at the same time as Ultimate Predaking, if I'm not mistaken. There's definitely things here that I like, and there's some things here that I'm not super struck on, and even Starscream Wife had a few thoughts on it. I'll give credit where credit is due. I kind of like this body type. In terms of Transformers Prime Optimus, I think I liked the Season 3 body type better than the first two, so I sort of dig this in that respect. But there's a lot more here to explore, including a peculiar alt mode, including some discussion about some of his proportions, and whatever this thing is on his back. So without any further ado, how about we head over to the table and take a closer look at this guy. And yes, we take a little bit of a step back in time to Transformers Prime and the Beast Hunters line, with none other than the Ultimate Optimus Prime. And like, this thing is large, which makes it impressive, but that's definitely not the whole story. Size is only one metric, of course. I don't have a box or anything. We do have instructions. So before I get into the main bot of the hour himself, let's just take note of these big, bold, beautiful instructions. They're on both sides. That they show the conversion both ways and how to incorporate all of the bits and pieces on this guy, which I appreciate because I really kind of didn't know what I was doing with him. They're effective as instructions get. Oh, we have 5 projectiles. This thing is kind of a trident. I don't know what any of these are called. That's one. Oh, then we have this gray grabby thing, I guess. Followed by the green circle that you use to blow bubbles when you're at the park with your kids. And then not one, but 2 of what I can only assume are boogers. And then that brings us to Optimus Prime. Now this handle is not on in box. You have to put it on after. And the whole point of this handle is so you can... Actually, this is a shield I have plugged in over here. We can take this. Ugh. Of course we can't just take that off. We gotta tear the guy half apart. We can take this off. I'm not gonna lie. This peg right here, the one sticking out, super duper tight. I gotta kind of fix things up here a little bit. Unfortunately, that literally tore. I'll get the other thing off and then I'll fix this up. The sword comes off much easier. It was on this side. And you can see that the alt mode isn't the best without the pieces on it. Let me kind of fix up what I untabbed and then we'll talk about this thing ever so slightly. Alright, pardon the cut. So we have the 5 accessories kind of put in the thing on top. These are 5 dragon heads. And the whole point of this gimmick is to turn it like this and then bring it back. If I push down, I would fire this. Then I'd go to the next one, bring it back, push down. The next one, you get the idea. You'd go around, fire all of the projectiles. I don't like the side of the vehicle. I'm not a huge fan of the back because it's obviously just feet. But I do very much like the foreboding look of the front of this thing. I think that's really cool, especially with these blades coming down here and these ones up here as well. It would have been nice to have some silver in here. The plastic feels robust, But I'm not gonna lie, it also feels like a soap dish. It just feels like a robust soap dish. So that's kind of it for the truck mode. He does roll tremendously well. I'll give credit where credit is due. In terms of being accurate to the truck mode from the program, I mean, not quite, but kind of. It's hard to tell for sure because, again, there was so much junk on that truck mode, but this is obviously just it's not the best Optimus mode, right? It just, it's, you know, it is what it is. You talk about, you know, people talk about like seeing robot mode underneath or like visible head syndrome and all this nonsense. But like, you can tell it's the arms and the legs just flip back, right? Speaking of which, let's do the transformation, then we'll get into actual scores for this guy. You already saw some of it. We kind of begin by lifting this off, and then we can lift the arms off and bring them all the way out to the side. When we do so, by the way, there's a slot here that goes over a tab up right here, somewhat loosely. Rotate the arms so that it's forward and forward. We could even, if you want, take the flap right here and bring it back to bring out his head. Then we undo the front of the vehicle. I'm going to get these arms here up out of the way. Undo the tabs together tight. And then all of this will flip down, flip that in, and turn this around, and it all comes down to the back of the leg. So we bring this down, flip this in, turn this around, bring it down into the back of the leg. We're going to bring the waist up, and with this piece up, we're going to turn the waist around, split the lower legs. Then this piece will kind of, you know what, I'm going to stand them up and then show you where this whole chunk on the back goes. Okay, so now we've got the guy stood up, and there's a big peg up here that really goes into this peg hole here. But if you don't want to put it in there, you don't have to. So why would you opt not to? Well, on the front there's a gimmick where you can pull down basically his front bumper that's kind of like just under his chest, and his chest and eyes light up. If you put this peg into this peg hole, then this thing will also rotate when you do that, and again fire the 5 projectiles. It's up to you, I guess, what you want to do there. So I'm going to bring it down, and I'm going to angle it in there. And then I'm going to turn the guy around, and I'm going to bring his arms down, and obviously, as you can see, we have a lot of space up here. So I'm going to readjust things so we can see him in all of his robot mode glory. And boom, here we have Optimus Prime in all of his robot mode glory. So let's talk about the coloration and whatnot first. This is pretty good. Now, starting from the feet and going up, we should have some extra silver right there on the toes. We should have a little bit of light blue sort of on the sides and right here. The silver on the front of the shin is fine. The blue going up the black kneecap is fine. The thighs being gray is fine. Up here on the hips, there's a blue hip skirt that's missing. The pelvis here is, I think, a dark gray, which is accurate. Right here, these teeth basically shouldn't be here on his torso. It should just be gray, but I'm okay with it. The yellow out the side is accurate. These windows are green here, but I've seen them blue and I've seen them red. So it is what it is. They tend to be outlined in silver though. These aren't quite outlined in silver. This section up here, that's silver, doesn't really count. It shouldn't actually be there. For the arms, we do have the red with the black hands, but maybe they're supposed to be silver. We should have some black on the outside of the arm. The silver here is correct. The gray on the bicep is correct. All the red up here is correct. You can also, by the way, if you want, take those out like that. The head is pretty correct, though arguably a bit too small if you ask me. I mean, to each their own. That's definitely a, you know, a personal, I don't even want to say gripe. He's holding his sword, he's holding his shield, so it's up to you if you think that that works. I'm going to take this out of his hand, just because it's cumbersome if we leave it there. Same with the shield over here, I'm going to get rid of that as well. And, you know, like, I'm going to say in terms of being Beast Hunter's Optimus Prime, this whole thing on the back shouldn't be here, by the way. But I'm going to say it's solid, like, 8.75. It's pretty darn good. Pretty darn accurate. I was talking about these firing and whatnot, being able to push down this. So I'm going to actually pick that off so I don't actually fire any of these. And push this down. I don't know if you can see it, probably not, but his chest and his eyes light up. If I had the piece put in the back, this would also rotate. One of these would come down over his back, over his head, and basically like that, and then you'd be able to fire it, right? You can do it with the handle on back or by pushing that down. So 8.75, not too bad of a start. What about the articulation, especially with this cumbersome thing here? Well, before we do the articulation, let's do the transformation. I think the way it's designed, the transformation is easy, especially for something this big, and it is intuitive. I'm going to say it's about an 8, because it's fine. The only problem with it is that it's boring. It's not inspired. I mean, you know, you do turn his waist around, and I appreciate that. But other than turning his waist around, you really do nothing with the legs except put them together. The arms literally just fold back, and the head literally just folds in. The most interesting thing would be the front grille and the front tires, as you know, they undo and then they roll down over the back of the leg and flip around a little bit to become really the cap of the leg. So while I appreciate that, and truth be told, I like how it fills it in so back here is not just left all hollow, it is a little too simple even for my taste. As far as playability goes and switching between modes, it's pretty great, which is why it's still getting an 8, right? Anybody could really do it. And you got a big chunky robot and a big chunky truck. So it's successful there. An 8, 8.75. Right now the guy's getting like an 8.35. He's pretty darn good. The articulation, we have a head that goes left and right. Not that far though, not as far as I'd like. The shoulders are on ratchets. They can go all the way around. In and out. We have an elbow to 90 degrees, bicep swivel. The wrists feel like they should move, but they don't. I guess because of transformation, we also have a butterfly joint here, though that comes untabbed a bit easier than I would like for it to come untabbed. See, like over there, there's a ratcheted waist, which is nice. Because he's back heavy, he has to be kind of lean forward a little bit. The legs go all the way forward on ratchets. Back, but like the ratchets aren't really strong enough to hold it. What about out to the side? Out to the side, those are pretty strong ratchets. Thigh swivel, no ankle, and knee, that's it. It's not 90 degrees. That's a bit of a bummer. So, is he ultimate? I mean, he's more ultimate than the Cyberverse Megatron that didn't even have elbows. But I struggle to call this ultimate. Naturally, he was intended to be paired with Ultimate Predaking, though he's much larger than Ultimate Predaking, so I don't know about that scale necessarily working. Also, here he is next to my Earthrise Optimus Prime. Boy, how small a Voyager is nowadays, hey? This isn't a Voyager, by the way. It's Ultimate class. It's definitely bigger. But that's who he's meant to be paired with. I don't know necessarily how well that works. While the coloration stands at an 8.75, and while the transformation stands at an 8 because it's functional, even if uninspired, the articulation leaves a little something to be desired. I'm going to give it a 7 because this was a fairly big ticket item at the time, and while it has pretty, I'll say neat gimmick, it's not for me, but it's not too obtrusive either if you don't want to use it. I do wish that we had a better tabbing for the shoulders on the side. I do wish that we had wrist. I do wish that we had a head that could move more. I do wish we had a deeper knee. I do wish we had an ankle. So there's a lot here left to be desired. He was getting an 8.35 with a 7 for his articulation. Overall, Ultimate Optimus Prime probably clocks in somewhere around a 7.75. He's fun. He is certainly great for people not super familiar with Transformers because he's simple. But is he truly ultimate? I don't quite think so. Is he bad? Absolutely not. Does he have presence and heft? You bet. Do I think he's sturdy? Definitely. 7.75. Not a perfect score, but not too bad. And here we are once again, and here he is. So there's things here I like, things here I don't like. Let's get rid of the things I don't like first and try to end on a high note. I'm not a big fan of all of this on the back. I get it. It's the whole gimmick thing where you push in and you can turn it and it would like fire all the projectiles. I'm not a big projectiles guy. If you like it, cool. I think that this would have been better if it was also removable. Now it seems to be, everything I see seems to be that it's pinned in, and I guess if you're cool with knocking out pins, you could get it out. I don't really think it would do much to affect the alt mode, but then we get to the alt mode, which we'll talk about in a second. So this whole piece, it's neat, I just wish it was removable. I don't care for this, and I don't care for this. I don't like the style of this or this. I wish he had a blaster instead of this sword and shield thing. I'm not a lights and sound guy, but I'm not gonna lie, that's pretty cool. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but his chest and his face lights up a bit. Well, his chest and his eyes. I like that, I think that's neat. And of course, pushing that down makes this rotate as well. This is also like 5 dragon heads. It's a bit weird. I get it, the whole thing was Dragon Hunter, so dragon head, I get it. The proportions. The head seems pretty darn small for the body. The upper body seems proportioned well. The legs seem kind of long. In terms of articulation, not bad, but I wish the knee was a bit deeper. And why do we not have an ankle tilt? Something should have at least been done with these toes if you're calling yourself Ultimate. There's some points to articulation I wish we had here. That being said, let's get to the positives. I think it's a great looking body type. He feels like the leader of the Autobots. He feels like he can battle a dragon. He looks like it. I like the overall, even though his legs are long, I like the overall proportions and chunkiness to him because, again, if you're going to be battling a dragon, you need some heft to you. I like the simplicity of the transformation. I wouldn't necessarily call it an ultimate transformation, and there's a lot more parts and pieces that could move. But I appreciate it for what it is. And while the alt mode is obviously a robot folded up, I like the look of the front enough with these pieces down and whatnot that like it looks menacing, it looks foreboding, going into battle against a mythical beast like, you guessed it, a dragon. There are some functionality things here and proportion things that I don't like. But there's some look things and some ideas here and just presence that I do like. I don't think I would have necessarily bought the guy, or if I did, my hope would have been of removing this. If I discovered that this couldn't remove, I think I would have been a bit disappointed, although Starscream Wife likes this and thinks it's really cool. I think it'd be cooler without it, which I guess for me and my purposes, maybe like the Voyager would have been the better way for me to go. This is on loan by friend of the channel, Maximal10. I really appreciate him letting me look at it. What do you think about Ultimate Optimus Prime? Let me know your thoughts, man. I appreciate you guys coming by, giving me some of your extremely valuable time. I do know how important it is to you. If you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link. You can check us out on Patreon. You can see what we have to offer to you through Spring, or of course you can hit the join button right here on YouTube and become a channel member. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, stick around, have some fun with us, and remember that somehow, some way, each and every single day, you right there, you do make a difference. And I look forward, baby, to the next time that you and I get together to have another visit, either in the live streams on Thursday nights at the stop motion premieres, or the old-fashioned way, right here, inside the videos.